This meeting is being recorded. It's a
Being short.
podcast. It's a podcast, not a meeting. Zoom.
Don't let them see that much behind the curtain.
Oh,
Um,
that's true.
hey, happy 14th podcast anniversary.
Has it been 14 years?
Yeah.
It only feels like 17.
Yeah, it's I mean there's like 10 years of no material, but
Oh, that doesn't mean anything.
nah,
We were
nah.
just sitting on this gold mine that we are now going through. The treasure trove. It's a
Yeah,
treasure trove.
that it is. Um yeah, I the only bit of news I have is and I know that you all have my IMDb page bookmarked.
Of
So
course.
be sure to refresh that thing. You might see some news soon.
All right. Fair
So
enough.
yes, and it's if you want a little bit of a spoiler, check out shakytownradio.com because I without consulting Gene at all, reorganized it a little bit. I just, it was just kind of static. So I made the front page a blog and I'm starting to put these shows up on there as a blog post. But I had
Cool.
unearthed two book reviews, one by Mari Naomi and one by an author now known as Daniel M. Lavery. I had to go back and change both posts for names and pronouns 10 years
Mhm.
later. But that's fine. It's not that hard, as it should not be hard for anybody in real life
Yeah,
to
precisely.
to use new names and pronouns for their friends and loved ones and authors they're reviewing. But there's also a little bit of a press release about a film there. So you'll want to keep your eye on that. What about
I
you?
Ooh, yeah, no. Oh, well, so we saw the Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's probably the only real news I have.
good, better than expected, worse than expected.
Great. Yeah, you know what? Here's the thing. Okay, Beetlejuice itself. I when I saw Beetlejuice in the theaters as a young lad, um, I was going to a lot of movies. Like movies were my thing when I was a kid. And I didn't have a lot to do. I was growing up in Vegas, and for kids up until fairly recently, there was nothing to do in Vegas. So I went to movies a lot. I saw Raiders like 18 times at the theater across the street from my apartments. I saw Blade Runner in the theaters when I was little. Red Rock Cinemas out on was at that point was the outskirts of Vegas at the time. I went there, took like a bus to get there, and walked. And I would just go to the movie theaters, and I'd be like, "Oh, that looks good." No idea, this is back, in the day, and there was a movie called Beetlejuice, and I went to see it, and it knocked my socks off. But I had zero concept of what it was going to be, other than it looked like a comedy. I think Michael Keaton had already done Night Shift,
Yeah.
so I knew his work from that. Just big comedy nerd. Um, but I walked into that movie knowing zero about it, and it was Beetlejuice. It was wacky and cool, and presented this fun, weird version of the afterlife. So with that being said, and the time that's passed, you know what you're getting into now. Everybody should know what they're getting into, unless they've been, birthed from the cloning vats today. You know, so walking in with that, I didn't have a ton of expectations about it. I was excited for it, um, but to get to go back to that world, it's not that it doesn't have flaws. It's not that it doesn't have things that were there's some criminal underuse of some of the players in it. There's a little bit of bloat in terms of what's going on the screen, but being able to go back to that world and seeing some more of the more interesting aspects of it
Yeah.
was really good. It was really good. I mean, I think I posted on Twitter 7 out of 10 no notes. That's not necessarily true. I probably could come up with some notes, but overall, you know what? It's it's was it worth 40 years of wait? No. but only because we could have had, well, we couldn't have had it any other time, but I would have appreciated seeing it sooner.
Right.
It's not that like, oh well, we wasted all this time, kind of thing. It's more that, yeah, this is fun, and it was fun. The world is fun. The people are obviously having a really good time in it. Are there things that I would change or suggestions that I would have made? Yeah, sure. But generally they are. It's an embarrassment of riches rather than, oh, that sucked, and it made me sad. It made me sad that I had to be there for this, blasphemy against the original.
Was there any Otho?
Well, obviously, Glenn Shadix, who played Otho, he passed away. I don't know. It's probably like 10 years ago now. It feels
Yeah.
like it was 10 years ago. And Sylvia Sidney, who played Juno, the boss of the underworld, the Neither World or Netherworld or whatever it's called. Um, she passed. So no, there wasn't any explicit Otho references that I caught.
Too bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they would have shoehorned it in. Um,
I
but
know they hand waved away Gene Davis and Alec Baldwin, and then I know that Jeffrey Jones, like that's it's not a spoiler that his character's death is kind of what brings everybody
yeah,
back
he's the
together.
catalyst.
Yeah, I
Charles
think
Dietz's death is the catalyst.
they've already covered that in all the trailers and stuff, and
Right.
so but I
And
just
it wasn't too bad. I mean, honestly, I mean, I know obviously you're gonna have a problem if you brought that dude back, the actor
yeah
back. Um, I How they deal with his afterlife, how they deal with Charles Dietz's afterlife, is very, very funny in parts, and very, very kind of like not nearly not nearly as bad as say Plan 9 from Outer Space dealing with Bela Lugosi's death, where they hire a dude that's 3 feet taller than Bela Lugosi, to creep around with a cape over his face. But it's kind of like that. I
yeah
mean, ultimately, it's a little bit like, how are we gonna get this dude who is a very distinctive character actor? How are we gonna get his face out off the screen for as long as possible with the runtime? So it's uh, you know,
I mean Tim
it,
Burton did the Ed Wood movie, so he'd have experience
yeah,
figuring.
yeah, no, exactly. It's definitely in his wheelhouse. Um, yeah, so they're like, again, I could nitpick, but why? It's like I'm happy that we got the movie that we did. Uh, you know, it's not Citizen Kane,
Yeah.
um, you know, which is famously super good, but it's also like boring as hell. It was entertaining. You know, they got to play around in the world of the afterlife, which was fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, Monica Bellucci, that like there's great special effects, practical and CGI. Like there's a bunch of stuff. I feel like Willem Dafoe and Monica Bellucci got short shrift in a cast where there was a ton of characters,
Yeah.
and I wish I would have seen more Monica Bellucci, because that character had some good hooks, and they weren't really necessarily used, you know. But and Willem Dafoe, kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like it's always good to watch people chew scenery. It's a great movie for people chewing scenery.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I will
Yeah.
watch it at some point, maybe, I'm sure.
Don't miss it. I mean, it really is kind of a. I don't know if you need to see it on the big screen per se, but it was nice to see it on the big screen.
Yeah. I only honestly the only film I have plans to go see on the big screen the rest of the year is Terrifier 3 because
Mm-hmm.
I intend for that to become a tradition because I had so much fun Terrifier 2 opening night.
Yeah.
Um because it was in Arizona. It was with a bunch of the Arizona crowd, including an actress from the movie, because you know Arizona's always been a big Terrifier town.
Sure.
Like we had Damien Leone and David Howard Thornton at their first horror con kind of thing, and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
um but I don't know. I'm sure something could always pop up that interests me in going back to the theater. There's
Yeah.
only a couple things I've gone to the theater for this year. Maybe only one. Well, I had small children, so I get dragged to like Disney and Pixar stuff.
Yeah. My children aren't that small anymore, but we saw Inside Out 2. We saw Deadpool, Wolverine, um, and now Beetlejuice. So we've seen three things this feel like. Yeah, three things this year.
Yeah. One thing I did watch was the presidential debate with Harris and Trump. And I know everybody has already talked about it and debunked it and laughed at it, but and so I wouldn't have anything really to add to that. Um, I just it. Am I crazy about any candidate? No, I'm too far left to really support politicians and elected officials. Anyway, I have friends who are involved in Democratic politics. Like my old friend Yolanda was like reading the delegate thing at the
Oh,
convention. She was the
nice.
one who said Arizona casts its vote for Kamala Harris. She was actually in a band that I used to see, and I can't remember if I ever played with them, but I certainly did see them play plenty of times. So that was cool. And so I will support like my friends' involvement in local politics and in this case, national politics. But you know, am I happy that it's going to probably be Harris instead of Trump? Sure. Do I still want certain things like war and genocide to end that I feel like we're complicit in? Of course.
Now hold on a second. Are you saying that genocide's a bad thing? Come on. There's very, very good people on both sides, as one of the candidates at the debate famously said one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, really though, we're just not going to have another ridiculous Trump presidency like the last one, because I feel that between his decline and the plans that are made in the back, most of the horrible garbage that went on, that weren't violations of the emoluments clause, most of the horrible garbage that went on were things that the ultra conservative Christian fascist party teed up,
Yeah.
packing the Supreme Court, killing Roe v. Wade, all of that stuff. And Trump was a useful buffoon for that. And I feel like we're going to get more of that, because I think it caught him on the back foot. His first presidency caught him on the back foot, thinking, oh, he's going to be a useful idiot. Well, he was only a useful idiot 20% of the time for them. And the other 80%, he was just an idiot, and I think there are more people who will steer him and policies and the whole Project 2025 stuff. So yeah, it's like we need three more Democrats. We need three more Democrats. We need to pack the pack the legislatures with as many left leaning Democrats as we can, and we need like 10 or 12 years to. I mean, it took. I mean, arguably MAGA is an extension of the old Tea Party BS, but it took a few cycles to clear out the nonsense from the last round of right swing BS. The Mitch McConnells need to go to their just reward, and frankly, the Nancy Pelosi's need to go to their just reward, because I think the one thing that came out from this debate that is absolutely 100% clear, and Vice President Harris said it, was this is a new generation, and the fact that they are they are calling bullshit on the weird stuff, which is it's weird, but there's also a lot of horrible garbage in it. But just holding people's feet to the fire and saying, really, really. So Haitian immigrants are coming over in their millions and eating all of our dogs. Care to explain that? Explain that. Expound on that. Expand that. Stretch that out a little bit for me, because I don't understand what you're saying. Are you? Did you see that Stephen Miller
Yes, I just
interview?
actually right before we logged on today, I
Yeah,
was happening to finally catch up on that clip
yeah.
where the reporter, the Venezuelan American reporter, it's like, where are you getting these numbers from? The Venezuela, the Venezuelan.
Maduro regime, the notably corrupt and dictatorial Maduro regime. So you're trusting Nicolas Maduro's people to tell you that crime is down in Venezuela, and all that's all he wanted to do. But see, that's the thing is, for journalists, every journalist should be doing that, but they're not.
No,
But but now that politicians are looking across the aisle and not doing the usual, folded arms, tut tut, this is not how we do things, and literally just throwing that stuff back in their faces,
yeah,
being polite, being businesslike, but saying, oh, tell me how 11 million, how I, Kamala Harris, personally led in 11 million criminal migrants to destroy America. Well,
yeah,
they're coming into, they want them to vote for her. There's no, show me the evidence. Just to say that and get out of this whole, like, well, we have to work partisan, we have to work across the aisle, and this is, we're gonna, we're not gonna, they go low and we go high. It's that sea change to me is the most hopeful thing, whether or not we get a government that starts to look to the workers and the labor that makes billionaires. It's not Amazon wasn't just magically shat out by Jeff Bezos and suddenly sprung up like a mushroom to make him millions of dollars. It's the people who are pissing in bottles in hot warehouses. It's the people who are driving leased trucks around dropping packages off. It's like, Elmo Musk didn't make all that money, his dad did, and then he made it off of the backs of people who are using financial stuff on the internet. So it's like that needs to change. We've had 50 years of bullshit garbage, and somebody posted, NASA actually posted the Kennedy speech, the JFK speech of, we chose to go to the moon because Shiv is regal or whatever. And I was thinking about it, and it's like, yeah, we went to the moon, and we, the American people, paid for that, because that was a time when the government would spend money on things like the moon shot or whatever. And that money came from places. It came from corporations and from the rich and from working people in lesser amounts. But now that the rich don't pay any taxes and corporations don't pay any taxes, we can't do that. So if we can get somewhere even to start to course correct over 50 years, I think we're going to be in a better place. So,
absolutely,
but that
absolutely.
Stephen Miller thing, I could watch that, because that ghoul needs to be taken down a peg.
Yeah.
That needs to happen to him every interview. Every interview that isn't a softball, So, Mr. Miller, tell me about these criminal migrants. It's like anything that's not a softball for him. He needs to just be on all of them, and all of them, you know, need to be their feet held to the fire about it.
Yeah.
You know,
He's Stephen Miller is very much like if you thought Steve Bannon wasn't slimy enough and
right,
unlikable enough.
right. Steve. I feel like Stephen Miller and Steve Bannon are like Steve Bannon got the wonky picture of Dorian Gray.
Yeah.
like, like he bought like, or he bought the 6 month Dorian Gray plan, so now he looks like, a cheese that's gone off. And
Yeah.
Stephen Miller bought the premium upgrade, because he does look like Voldemort, but he looks like a normal human being and not, like I said, a completely overripe cheese. Yeah,
He was an LA guy, wasn't he?
I think so.
I feel like I used to be friendly with somebody who had gone to
Did,
like the same school as him or
yeah,
something.
didn't he go to some prep school out here?
Yeah, I think that's what I
I
Understood.
feel like I remember that. I try not to think about that jackass as little as possible, but um, yeah, he's definitely one of those Himmler types where it's like you can just see the dull evil behind his eyes. And all the times where he was starting to overload when the guy was just like, so you trust the results, you trust statistics from Maduro. It's like, just answer the question. See that back to the debate. That's the thing. I think I posted on Twitter a minute ago. It's like, the one thing you could say about Trump's performance is he stayed on message. It was a crazy, stupid lie, but at least he brought it. It's aside from the places where Harris just put the hook in
Yeah.
and reeled him in.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was. Uh, uh,
Did you see them together at the 9/11 memorial?
I did not.
Okay, so there was, we're recording this on the 12th.
Sure.
My 15th wedding anniversary, by the way. Much love to Megan, who's a friend of the show as well. If you go back far enough in the archives. Um, so on the 11th, in history, some of you younger people might know a little bit less about this, but there was a terrible terrorist attack. Um, and it's odd to have my little kids come home and be like, hey, we heard about this thing called 9/11. Can you explain it? And having to explain that, but they do a memorial in New York, and I think Trump was there, maybe Bush, Biden, Harris, and I'm told by the internet, um, you know, verify everything, of course, but I saw video of Trump approaching Harris at the memorial and like shaking her hand. And I am told, I wasn't sure if it was lip readers or people who overheard, maybe this will be debunked later, but that he said, good job. Like he went up, like somebody was like, Trump wants to talk to you. And so she walked over and they shook hands. He said, hey, good job. Like, as in, good job the other night.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah.
I mean, I, that's the thing is, who knows? I have heard tell that he is not an unpleasant person when he wants to be.
Right.
I've heard tell of that. I mean,
Everybody who he worked with at WWE when he was like wrestling and managing wrestlers, like
so strange. This world is so strange.
WWE Hall of Famer Donald Trump is very pleasant to work with in a wrestling locker room.
Yeah.
I hear.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is it's like, yeah. And goodness knows he's been in the public spotlight for a very long time, and I'm sure he has a public persona that he can do that. It's the actions speak louder than words, and the public actions that he has taken and the things that he has said in public outweigh the fact that he might be a personable gentleman if you meet him under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
It
is a matter of record that he is a convicted felon and found liable for sexual assault. So we should...
Yes, no, and I got the banhammer on Twitter for a couple of days.
Oh, that's right.
Because I posted something basically saying I hope he breaks both legs and I hope he has a stroke and no one notices because he keeps spewing garbage. I think the stroke part was what got me. But everything else, and I posted a huge, after I got back on, I immediately posted a 12 count thread of going point by point of all of those things. And it's like, yes, he is a convicted felon. Yes, he's adjudicated a sex offender. Yes, here's ProPublica's pants on fire section for Donald Trump, which runs to multiple pages. It's like he's a liar. He's a serial liar. He's a wannabe dictator. All of those things are true. Okay, so he likes McDonald's and shakes people's hands. It's like, so he's at some point you scratch the turd long enough, you'll find a person that has things that they do and have personality traits.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'll tell you, fuck him and fuck him forever. And I never want to see him in a position of public authority again. It's he pat everybody on the head, treat your grandkids well, whatever. I don't care. It's Henry Kissinger. It's like Henry Kissinger. It's like, okay, yeah, you were a great diplomat. You did a lot of things, but at the end of the day, you're a war criminal.
Yeah.
You destroyed the lives of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people.
Wasn't he like popular at New York parties as well? Wasn't like that a thing where
Of
Kissinger?
course, of course. Why wouldn't he be? I mean, and again, he's a well-spoken, erudite guy. Was a well-spoken, erudite guy. Very learned and very experienced, and did a lot of great things. Great in the sense of the word, including great giant things, enormous things that murdered a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Callously murdered a bunch of people. Here's how we're gonna get this. We're just gonna kick the puppies to death. Like, like, oh, the ends justify the means. I take it. That kind of nonsense. So yeah, I mean, that's again, I Hitler might have been really really fun to talk to at parties, but dude,
I don't think he probably was.
I don't know, man. I don't
I
know.
think he
I'm
was
just
chattering his teeth all the time and going on about Jews and making out with his cousin
yeah.
and
Well, who wouldn't
overall
though?
making people uncomfortable. Plus, vegetarians are always annoying at parties, as we know.
Mm,
Um,
that's true.
you know.
No, but still, I mean, even in the theoretical event, still Hitler, right?
Uh,
You know? Oh man. Yeah. So there was no question that if there's a winner or loser, uh, Dum Dum was going to
Especially
lose.
as yeah.
There's just no way in hell.
I'm excited for that Vance Waltz thing. That's the main event for me.
Oh yeah, because you know what? That's the thing is, I I've been posting a lot of jokes on the Twitters about they you come for the coach, you best not miss kind of stuff. Just like the I'm trying to think of an analogy. I'll come up with a sports analogy because he's an ex football coach. That they're running the same playbook that worked for them against weaker teams,
Yeah.
and wondering why it's not working against a team that knows what they're doing.
Right.
Like that's the thing is again just saying, huh, that's a weird thing to say. Why would you say that thing? Tell me more about that thing. Show your work.
Yeah.
Just even if you're just saying that, which is about 90. I mean, there's of course the couch fucking jokes, which are chef's kiss, but but you know, just holding their feet to the fire on this stuff, and watching. Well, we all know JD Vance is wearing an Egger suit, like from Men in Black. We all know that he is a giant cockroach in human guise, because he cannot. That's the thing that really bugs me. Is how is it that you how is it you're so bad at everything you need to do in your job? Talking to human beings, having political positions, it's
Didn't
like
Trump even said at the debate he doesn't talk to Vance?
yes. So well, he has a habit of picking people to be vice president and then being shut of him. I mean, at least he hasn't tried to have him killed like the last guy.
Not yet.
Not yet. But yeah, it's like what an odd cardboard cutout of a human being. I mean, and again, maybe he's not like that in real life. Look, I came up in role playing games and things like that. I know a lot of weirdos, right? I'm a weirdo. I know a lot of people who are not very good in social situations. Who are I if I don't concentrate on what I'm doing, I am awkward and mumbly and strange. But you know what? I've had enough interactions with people. I've had jobs where I have to do customer service where I can gin up the the personality to say, "Excuse me, can I have a dozen donuts?" Well, what kind? I don't know. You pick. I'm trusting your judgment. Or 12 crullers or 12 old fashions or some of the glaze. Like it's not a tightrope. You know, it's not something that you have to mince delicately across or think about, you know. And I feel like the stuff that I've seen about him doing stuff is is like I said, it's the Men in Black Egger suit. Like you can see the wheels turning. You know, they're like, "What do you think of the state fair?" Well, I like being here at the state fair. There's lots of different things to do here at the state fair. You know, but everything is like there's that 5 second beat of him, you know, dun, 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 fuck off, asshole. You know, it really is like you can see the wheels turning of like I was talking to my wife the other day. Years and years and years ago, I had an interview, or like one of my first real job interviews at a real job. It was like I can't remember what it was, Amana or something. It was a big company. And first time I ever had like a full on like HR style interview where you know HR person comes in, looks at my resume and asks me questions. And I remember they asked me, "What's your favorite color?" And I immediately vapor locked because my brain went, "Oh, this is like one of those psychological questions." You know, what I answer, if I say red, are they going to think that I'm a hothead? If I say blue, are they going to think I'm depressed? And I literally said beige. But I had that like, but I feel like I feel like I see that happen with Vance every time somebody asks him almost anything,
Yeah.
you know. And the times when he does come off the cuff are the times that he says the absolutely nonsensical weird shit, like childless cat ladies, and he just keeps digging the hole.
Yeah.
You know, what I meant to say was all women should be subservient to men. Oops. What I meant to say is women aren't people. Oops. What I meant to say was women are chattel and should be traded like cows. Oops. What I meant to say, that to me is the death spiral, the JD Vance death spiral.
Yeah.
It's like, do you have people to like say, look, when they say this, you have to say that. Repeat it after me. I think women are a valuable contributor to society, and I hope they vote for family values or whatever nonsense that you can deflect the crazy bullshitical things you said. Does he not have those people? I'm not trying to help him. I'm not trying to help him, but it feels like this is how I think the GOP handlers all must look like people who are on a roller coaster that's much scarier than they thought it was going to be.
Yes.
You know, just like white knuckled and like eyes wide and like, oh, what happened? Oh no, this roller coaster is really rickety and it goes very fast.
Speaking of roller coasters that have gone fast, our time is up. For the timer to kick us out of the studio that you see behind me, if you're a video viewer,
or this blur that I exist in.
But yeah, let's get together next week. I always have to bug you to do these. You never bug me saying I got something on my mind. So.
Yeah, no, I have a lot of free time on my hands, so I'm available whenever you are.
All right.
It's really just ask. I mean, very rarely is it things that I have to take care of.
All right.
Anyway,
I'll chat with you again soon, probably on text after this, and we'll see everybody else.
Bye, everybody.
In Shakeytown soon. See you, Gene. We are back on the YouTube channel. We are back in the podcast feed, and we are also on social media on X and on Instagram at Shakeytown Radio. There's a blue sky as well, so check that out and read up all on the archives at shakeytownradio.com.